The girlfriend of England star Jack Grealish, her name is Sasha Atwood, has revealed that she was sent 200 threats a day, and these are death threats, a day during the Euros. She's only 25 years old. She said she received the threats on TikTok and on Instagram. Have a listen to this.
Genuinely, I was receiving like 200 death threats a day. Like, I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. Like, so many messages every single day, and I still get them now, all day, every day. I never realised how bad it actually was. And the scary thing is, it's young girls. Like, I go on these girls' accounts who have sent me stuff, and they're literally like 13, 14, and it's so sad. I try and put it down to age, but then I think I was never like that at that age. I never sent a message like that. I just think it's so toxic, social media, and it's really sad that these generations are growing up thinking that it's okay to say things like that. And you know, you get it all the time. Oh, I didn't think she was gonna see, I didn't think she'd reply. But why are you doing it? Please ask yourself why.
So there you go. That's just a section of an interview that she's done. I thought she spoke really well there about young women. She's a young woman herself. She's only 25 years old. And these kind of things, when you are exposed to a high level of social media, attention can be really overwhelming. When it's death threats, I mean, I don't know how somebody processes that, all because of being part of somebody else's life. Listen, we know how much of a buzz there was around Jack Grealish at the Euros. He's the darling of the nation. You know, people love him. I know you love him, Leanne.
Yeah,
I've heard you speak about him.
Loves him.
Sorry, Darren, I love him more than I love you. Sorry if that hurts your feelings.
But we come back around to this idea, don't we, that social media companies do not have any kind of responsibility, it feels, to hold people account to things like this. And when you're talking about death threats, come on, I mean, if you're getting 200 death threats a day, I know Sasha's just saying there, you go into the accounts and it's 13 or 14-year-old girls, and they didn't think that they were going to see, or she was going to see it. It only really takes one of those people for it to feel like a serious threat. It doesn't, 200 a day.
She made a good point, though, because she was saying, you know, when she was that age, she never thought to do that. And I think that's true. I mean, I don't know what, I mean, I've had death threats before, you know, and it's like not nice. And it's not a nice feeling. I think the thing about social media, when you receive abuse like that, you start to question yourself. You know, I was receiving, like, I was in a particular hotel in another country and I was receiving it and I was on my phone. I'm thinking, I'm on my own in this hotel room. Like, it doesn't feel nice.
What did you do about it?
I reported it to the company that obviously I was working with at the time. And thankfully they took care of it and stuff like that. But I think sometimes with a lot of companies, they like the sound bites. They like when things are like, you know, someone says something that's, and it was about the Alex Morgan thing when she sipped a cup of tea, and it got like 3 million views. I didn't do it to get views, and I think a lot of companies prefer that now when people speak and they get a lot of views. But I just give my opinion. But then, you know, the companies love that when a video gets a lot of views, but they're not thinking about the person. And you know, for Jack's girlfriend to receive that kind of abuse, it's not acceptable. And it doesn't matter if, you know, people say it's part and parcel of being in a public eye. What do you expect? No, you don't need to expect that. And it's disgusting. It's disgraceful.
I think their account should be taken away, and I don't think it should be warnings and this kind of things, because if you can't use social media responsibly like a normal person in society, when would you ever walk down the street and say to somebody, you know, I'm going to kill you, or some of the stuff that you're going to get?
Yeah.
You would have a problem, and you wouldn't do that, would you? And you physically can't do that in this kind of society, because you'll get arrested if you're threatening somebody with death. So to be able to do it on a platform baffles me, Darren.
But again, that's why, again, the social media platforms have to step up now. I mean, people are applying pressure. We're seeing it every single day now, where people are reporting, whether it's racism, as the death threats we're talking about there, Twitter, Instagram, all these social media platforms have to start doing more. But for whatever reasons, up until this stage, they've been a little bit hard-headed. They don't really want to do anything.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you a little story, and I don't really know if this is going to be a good or bad thing, but I had somebody on Instagram messaging me who knows my address. So literally knows my address. So it could be someone that's delivered something to me, or a taxi driver that dropped me off, or someone that's just walked past when I've walked in. That person knows my address. I've reported that person to Instagram. I've had no response. This has gone on for over a couple of weeks now. I also reported it to the police, and the police came around, and their literal words to me were, this isn't like in a Hollywood film, you know, where you can just trace someone. It doesn't really happen like that. And I was like, brilliant, you've made me feel so much better. Nothing is being done. And one thing that the police also said was that when you set up an anonymous account, you could just set up a different email address, so you can't really be traced.
But this is where I think the verification has got to now start to come in. Passports, driver's license, wherever
I agree.
it is.
This is why we ask for it.
Exactly.
And people's argument on the flip side is, but that's our data and stuff.
It's already there anyway.
Do you know how much people know about you. Like, go and have a look on Instagram. You just mentioned that I need a new toaster, and you'll get a million toaster adverts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, people know about you, people know things, but that baffles me even more. My phone listens to what I'm saying, and it can tell me what I want by what it hears me saying, but it can't track someone down that is sending death threats or knows your address or is threatening to blackmail you. Like, the idea that someone can physically go into your messages and expose you to things like this, but you can't do anything about it.
And you can't unsee it as well, Laura.
Yeah.
That's why I always think, like, we're all creatures of habit. Everyone checks their phones. You know, I don't check my phone during shows anymore because I just know that it's got better. You know, it sounds sad that I sit here and say, oh, my abuse has got better. Like, what world are we living in right now? But at the same time, like, I know that I knew that when I was coming on a show with you today, Laura, that we'll probably get abused because we're women. And that's the reality, unfortunately. And that's just how it is. And I think for some people, they're like, well, and it's not until I actually shared some of the things that people had written to me, I think that's when it really hit home. Yeah. I don't know if people thought I wasn't telling the truth or something, because I would post about it a lot saying, please stop the abuse. And then it was like, when I shared what people actually write to me, people were like, wow, this is really bad.
There's almost, I think, a detachment from what people feel that they can send to how it affects someone, because it's almost like, I think, when somebody sends a nasty message like that, they get some sort of a buzz out of it and they think it's great. And then when they realise, because sometimes when you challenge people, I don't really do it as much anymore, but when you challenge...
I know you used to.
I used to do it a lot, but like, when you challenge someone, sometimes their reaction is like that, oh, I didn't think you were going to see it, or they'll come back and say, oh, I'm actually a big fan. So
Do you know what? And I hate that. Like, and
weird,
you know what?
isn't it?
You are 100% spot on with that, because the amount of times, I mean, I don't read anything really, comments or anything. And the funny thing is as well is that even if I put a question out there, I don't even look for the answer. So I tweet it out there, I don't even read the answers. But you're totally right. Is that I've had people criticise me before, and then I've gone, you know what? Let me go back at this. Gone back at them, and all of a sudden they want to have a proper conversation. Like, listen, I didn't mean anything by it, but I think you're doing really well on. And I think, well, no. But it's a little bit like, remember when we had the whole situation about the taking the knee? Yeah. And the people booing. And I remember I told you about being in the stands. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, we can't boo now because Darren's sitting there. Well, have the courage of conviction. If that's what you're doing, if I wasn't there, then don't obviously all of a sudden then change and be like, change who you really are. Yeah.
Just to give you a little boost, because it's not all neg. I had this message earlier on which I looked at from Antonio Mango, and he says, can I just say that Leanne Sanderson is brilliant, nice, bubbly personality, kind of person you would chill with some little claps.
Thanks, Dad.
And then he adds, there's a little PS here saying, not Darren Bent.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday morning 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.